So this is my video on how I found out I was pregnant and how I told everyone else that I was pregnant. And if it looks like I'm reading over something, it is. I'm reading off of, I wrote it down on my computer, so I'm reading it off my computer just so that I can get it done quicker. And yeah, so that's why I'm always looking over here. I've made to remember in absolute great detail what happened, mostly because I needed to make this video. Or not exactly needed, but I really wanted to make it, so with much anticipation I shall tell you what happened. Pretty much what happened was, unfortunately, I have somewhat of an allergy to condoms. I say somewhat because I don't really think it's an allergy or anything. I'm not allergic to latex. I just have a bad bladder infections when I use them. They got to the point where I would be in tears because of the pain, and it happened every time, no matter if I peed after I had sex or anything. With any guy I had sex with, I would get a bladder infection when we used condoms. So when I had been on birth control for about 3 months solid, we decided we would just stop using them. We being me and my ex-boyfriend. And that was our bad. And we definitely should have tried some other options because he already has a kid. He's almost 2 now. So anyways, I had been on it for about 3 months and we stopped using condoms and we were good. We didn't run into any issues. So my last period was on December 21st, 2011. I was still on birth control at that point, and at this time I had probably been on birth control for about 5 months now. So we both thought that we were in the clear, and on New Year's Eve me and my mom got into this massive fight. It was unbelievable. Before I go on, I'm going to just say that I do not blame my mom for what happened because it was my mistake. It's definitely not my mom's fault that it happened. My mom didn't tell me to stop taking my birth control. She didn't force me to stop taking my birth control. So before anyone goes saying that I'm blaming my mom, I'm not. Let's continue. So the morning after our fight, I was still pissed. It was just ridiculous. I had to work pretty early the next morning. So when I was still, I just completely blanked and forgot to take my birth control. Oh, and just so you know, and the birth control that I was on was called Tricyclen Low, so it was a lower dose of it. January 10th, 2012 of this year, I think me and my ex probably both knew at this point that something was up, and pretty much how I felt was I felt weird. I felt really crappy all the time, and I think that I felt pregnant too. I didn't want to scare him though, so, cause like he already had a kid, so I didn't want to tell him that I thought I was pregnant just because I didn't want to freak him out. Cause I always told him that I think that like if I was pregnant, I think I would know. You know, I would just know that I was pregnant. But anyways, after about a day or so, we finally decided to test, and we got 2 tests, and they both came up negative, but they both had an evap line. So when I did some research on that, it said that it could either be an early positive, or it could be or it could still be too early. And I think my period was due for wasn't due for another week or so, something like that. So it was still pretty early to test. And then I think 2 days later we got 2 more tests, and they were immediately positive. I didn't quite believe I was pregnant at first, mostly because I was like, there's no way I could get pregnant after not taking my birth control for 1 day. So when I saw the positive, I had this dumb smile on my face, like there's no way this is happening, like this is unbelievable, no way. So the second time I tested, I was 100% sure it was a real positive, but just in case, we went to a walk-in clinic, and again, it was positive. I was not entirely scared about it, and I'm still not scared about it, but yeah. So me and my mom are pretty close, so as soon as I got back from the clinic, I told my mom right away. It was pretty bad timing because I told her on the way to work, so I told her and had to leave right away, and that probably wasn't fair of me, but I didn't want to hide it from her, so I just told her. My mom wasn't even that mad at first. She just took the news and was happy that I told her immediately. Then on the way back from work, it got pretty bad. She told me that the best thing for us to do is adoption, and I just broke down. I could not stop crying. I mean, I know where she was coming from, but at the time I was just so offended that she would want me to just get rid of my child like that. So I was really offended with her. When I told her I wanted to keep it, she was pretty mad again. She didn't want to talk to me. She actually didn't talk to me. She completely avoided me, and it just broke my heart. I felt really depressed, and she was just awful to me. But eventually she came around, and now she's excited. So yeah. Telling his parents though was completely different. We were more nervous telling his parents because of the fact that he has a kid already. So that was just a scary thought, telling them. I was really mad at him for a while because his parents asked if I was pregnant because they knew that I had been really sick, and he lied right to their faces. And then I wanted him to just be honest and to put it nicely, I told my mom that I was pregnant, and then I told her that I wanted to keep it both times on my own. So without him, and then he couldn't even tell his parents without me. He knew I was awfully sick too. I couldn't even move off my couch without puking, so I was really mad that he wouldn't have just gotten it over with. This is also when him and I were first starting to have problems, so I was just pissed that he couldn't do it without me. But I was physically capable and feeling good enough. I would have been fine going over there, but he did not want to do it alone. So I had to go over when I was unable to walk properly. I sound like I'm complaining and trying to make it sound like he could have done it on his own, because it probably was best that I did go over there, but I wish he would have waited. And I'm just trying to explain to you my thoughts that were going through my head at the time so that you have a better understanding about what happened and how I felt. I was 10 weeks when we told his parents that I was pregnant, and they took it really good, surprisingly. I mean, they did say that they were disappointed, but they were not mad at us, so their reaction really shocked me. Just because we thought that they would be more mad than my mom was, because he already has a kid, right? So we were really surprised at that. Now on to telling my dad and stepmom. Oh, just so you know, I live with my mom and stepdad. In case you were wondering, my dad and my stepmom live in a different province. So just a background on my dad's family, he's very heavily Mormon, so me being pregnant is very much against his religion. Me and my dad do not have a good relationship to start, so, you know, for the most part I don't talk to him and I don't have anything to do with him, for reasons that I'm not going to say, but my mom thought it was a good idea to tell him before he heard through like the grapevine or whatever that that I was pregnant. So my mom emailed him because she knew that I wouldn't tell him. So my mom put in the email that if he couldn't be supportive, if he was going to say something negative, then he could just leave and that would be it for us. I wasn't exactly holding on to the fact that he was going to email back. Like, I wasn't going to hold my breath. Mostly because I knew who he was, and, you know, I just kind of was like, whatever about it. So, and I didn't really care too. It took him a few days to get back, but when he did, I was very shocked. He was actually making an effort with me, which is something that was incredibly rare. So I was overwhelmed with this that I actually ended up getting sick, because that's just how overwhelmed I was. He told me that he would be supportive, and if I needed help, he would try his best. And still, I didn't hold my breath onto his promise. So yeah, eventually the truth came out, and now I don't even want his help. But that's a completely different story for another time. Now on to my brothers. My brother, I live with two of my brothers. He came home from lunch. The first brother came home from lunch from school, and he came home to me just throwing my guts up. And you know, since he lived with me, he knew that I had been really sick, but had no idea why, that it was because I was pregnant. You know, so he came home and was really confused because I was sick yet again, and my mom said that she was going to tell him. So I didn't see his reaction, but my mom said his reaction was something like, "You're gonna be a grandma? Wow," or something like that. And he was shocked, but still very excited to be an uncle. My other brother didn't, excuse me, my other brother didn't find out until the weekend after, I think. My mom went downstairs and told him, and he was like, "I'm gonna be an uncle." They were both pretty excited, which was pretty cool. So I didn't tell my grandparents either. My mom told my grandma, and she said that my grandma already had a feeling that that I was, because she had heard that I was sick, and then one of her friends saw me leave the clinic, but she just kept her mouth shut just in case it was something else. My grandpa is also a Mormon, but just a side note, I used to be Mormon as well, but that's a different story for a different day, I guess, if you want to know my religious history, but that's incredibly off topic. So anyways, my mom thought that it would be a good idea to tell him before he heard about it through members of the church. I'm not really sure how he reacted. All I know is that he said he was sad that I was not there to tell him myself, and he said tell her to come over and give me a big hug because she still has my support, and I cried, mostly because I knew that his opinion was the only one that really mattered to me the most because of his beliefs, and I was very scared that he didn't want to have anything to do with me ever again. So when I heard that he was still supporting me, I was very happy. And I wanted to wait to tell all my friends, but you know, until I was in my second trimester, but one of my close friends accidentally spilled the beans on Facebook. So at 12 weeks I posted a picture of my ultrasound, and I got even more support from all my friends. So now to end my video, I just want to tell you guys that if you're going through something like this, the best idea is to tell your mom or dad right away. They may be mad at first, but they will definitely in time appreciate your honesty. It's not an easy thing to tell your parents, I know that, but it won't be taken lightly either. But it is the right thing to do, instead of hiding it from your parents. Plus, the reaction might even surprise you. So you should really be honest with your parents if you're going through something like this. So that is the story on how I found out and told everyone I was pregnant. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I'm a very open person, and you know, about pretty much anything, and non-judgmental. So please ask if you want to know anything, and I'll see you guys later. Sorry. Bye.